Welcome to Brookside Chats! I'm your host, Pojo. Joining me today is my lovely co-host, Brooklyn, and a buddy from high school, Matt Vescio.
You just call me Vesh for short. There we go.
There we go. So, what's today's topic about?
Today we are talking about movies, more specifically video game movies. Even more specifically, I know, very specific, good video game movies.
Ooh, that's not
so, we'll start with you, Daddy B.
I think Jumanji would be probably the best example of like a decent good video game movie because it doesn't really follow the idea of like the whole premise of the video game itself, while simultaneously it was not trying to be like...
Robin Williams was good in that movie. However, that is not a video game.
Oh, now wait a minute.
That is a board game.
Are you talking about the remake or the one from the 90s?
I think both of them can hold like a candle to the fire.
Don't get me wrong, they're good movies, but they're not video games.
I wouldn't consider the 95, I believe was 95. I don't
The
consider
one with
that one a
Robin
video game
Williams?
movie. That's a board game movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't seen the newer one.
I think the problem is...
The newer one is definitely, I would consider that a video game movie.
Close to the mic?
Like,
Whack.
because the new Jumanji remake it's a video game movie, but it's not like a video game movie that's based off of a video game, an actual video game. It's a movie that is the plot surrounds itself with like a video game idea, where people get sucked into a video game and then they got to get out and they got to follow the basic video game rules.
So a quick side chat. I've noticed something. So The Rock, why is he in a lot of forest-based movies?
Like, give me another example.
The Jungle.
Oh, Jungle Cruise, The Mysterious Island, number 2.
Rambo.
Maybe he's just actually like...
oh, wait, no, he's not in...
No, he's not.
That's throwing me off there.
Maybe he's just like lost in that actual island, and like he's like, and his contract's like, hey, we'll give you the answer to get out of this island. You just need to film all these movies, and like, fuck, okay, fine.
No. That's actually real life, and they're just recording it.
He's actually like freaking out, or what was it in Jumanji? Doesn't he have like the spirit of like some teenager or something like that?
Well, yeah, because the teenager gets sucked into the video game, and then he takes on the avatar of The Rock, which is he's got like a avatar name. I forget the name, but Bravestone. The Rock's character name is like something Bravestone, and like that's the avatar in the game.
God.
So yeah, but in the movie The Rock acts like a teenage boy because that's who he actually is.
Anyways, back to the original side chat.
Mm-hmm.
Video game movie.
That was my favorite.
Jumanji is very enjoyable.
But
good.
I mean,
how about you, Veshy boy?
Jumanji's a good one. But I think the video game if we're really talking about video game movies, it's tough because I define a video game movie based off of a movie that takes a lot of stuff from an actual video game property, and that's tough because I can't really think of a lot of movies that I would consider to be good. Like the last one I can think of is Sonic, the freaking Sonic movie, and that was meh.
That one's fairly recent.
I know
that one was decent in its own right. And plus you can also appreciate the fact that the animators like actually like went out of their way to like redo Sonic after like they got like ripped to shreds.
I think they kind of got screwed over if they had to redo all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, first of all, I don't know what happened with that monstrosity to begin with. It's like, we're trying to make him more realistic or something. I think
let's give him human teeth.
I want to count each tooth.
Make him more realistic, and that's what you came up with. No.
Ooh.
And that's not. I don't think that's necessarily the animators' fault. They
were given a set of instructions.
Yeah, and then but then they had to do it all over again, which I think is. But I mean.
Well, that actually brings in a good question. So, a movie is pretty much someone's design, an idea, their passion.
Well, a movie is an idea of a lot of people. The ideas that come together.
Yeah. So, like, do you think that is wrong to bully a movie, much like how they did with Sonic, into going against what the director originally intended?
What did the director originally intend?
Whatever the heck the first version of Sonic was.
Well, the other thing too.
We don't know if. Well, I mean, I don't know whose idea was to make Sonic realistic. That could have been someone of the higher ups' ideas, or it could have been an idea that one of the higher ups, the director, and a bunch of other people were okay with doing. I don't know whose idea it was to make Sonic more realistic.
Because another example you could put on that is like Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League. That was his original idea. But what happened was kind of you had the execs kind of really hampered it down, really edited and took out a lot of it and stripped it down.
I thought he left because of family issues.
That was one part of it, but then there was also like he never got to complete the film that he.
We can also
wanted.
bring up Suicide Squad, the
Which
2016 Suicide Squad.
The first one.
The director, David Ayer, I think his name is. Like, the Warner Brothers kind of really screwed him over with a lot of stuff, and the characters that David Ayers came up with were also kind of lacking to begin with. But Warner Brothers definitely kind of screwed it over too with like what they wanted in the movie. And then now with the new Suicide Squad, which I haven't seen yet, from what I've heard, they just let James Gunn loose and do his own thing, and it turned out for the better from what I've heard.
When you come out with a movie, that's the big issue for at least the company, is the line between how much is it going to be profitable and how much of it do you want the director or whoever's in charge show their vision.
Without executives getting in the way.
Yes.
Or telling you, hey, you can't do that, you have to do this.
And very rarely I feel like the art side wins, the vision side I should say.
A lot of times it would usually be the executives, the people who of like these film companies
who fund the movies, I guess.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Should we go back to the video game movies though?
Yes, back to the video game movies.
But here's another thing I think you guys have lacked to like mention too, and I think this is a really fundamental problem with video.
Oh, no,
all right.
What's the thing with video game movies? Let's hear it.
I think the problem is that you're taking a very immersive direction with like video games, and you're kind of like making it from like 3D to 2D in a way. Like you're basically deleting a dimension, because in video games it's immersive because you can make like the direction that you want.
Yep.
You make all the decision. You're there with like all the CGI and stuff like that. And with like a regular movie, it's a lot of it's like live action. Usually you're just kind of, you don't get to make the decisions, and you're just kind of like seeing it like a different point of view. So it's really like an offset. So you kind of need if you're gonna do a video game movie, right, do it a character, but don't do it directly side by side with an actual like video game that's actually being produced. So for instance, Tomb Raider, I think the 2016 Tomb Raider, like when they made that revival of that series, they made like a side by side action piece that was basically the exact same thing as like the video game, but it's just like,
why would I play the video game or watch the movie if I can do the other?
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that like you're deleting a dimension. So I think one thing you need to do, and I think yes, Sonic was meh, but at least like it was a separate story. It's something different to gain from than like say like any other Sonic game.
Compared to other video game movies, it's up there. It's like good compared to other video game movies, which is not really saying a lot. But yeah, it had its own story, which did separate it from a lot of other video game movies, and that's good. But yeah, I like what you said about you're missing the dimension, because for a lot of these, it's really hard for a lot of these for somebody to adapt a movie from like a big video game. Like, let's just give an example. Like, I mean, shoot, I just want to say, like, what if
Assassin's Creed, I think that would be a good one.
Yeah, that's all right. That's a good example. But like, if somebody went up to like Warner Brothers and said, "Hey, let's do a Skyrim movie," that's a freaking open world thing with like a lot of stuff you can do, and I mean, I don't know.
I'm
Somebody
fingers
would be crazy enough
crossed.
to go with that. I hope.
Fingers crossed.
I don't want him to do it, but like, because there's so much stuff in like a lot of these video games, and then it's like, well, where would you start? Like, do your own story would be great. Like, don't like base a movie off of like a lot of stuff that happens in the game.
And I think that for a good video game movie, I mean, I agree. You have to have your own story. You really can't just copy a story that's already happened. Because why watch the movie? Just play the game.
You're cramming like 24 hours of, or more than, God, like 40 hours of video game immersion for an hour and 30-minute movie.
But the thing is that if you're gonna make a video game movie, you should have like characters that nod towards the video game. If you're gonna make a Skyrim, have one of the Jarls, blah blah blah, bandit.
Jeff Daniels as Ulfric Stormcloak.
Oh my god. But you know what I mean. Have the characters in there. Just don't repeat.
And I think that's the problem, is that like how, like, I think they need to have some creative liberties of like actually like branching out, because I think like there's good Star Wars movies and there's good Star Wars games, but they're separate.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
but they still, tie in with a lot of stuff that has happened between the universes, between the video game side and the film side. So yeah, Skyrim could happen if Skyrim does something like that. But
okay, so
it's whatever.
Evolving this side chat, what I think the consensus we can come to here is don't copy the beat for beat what the video game did. So why does it all of a sudden work when it is with a book to movie, I should specify?
So I think there's a different level of immersion with a video game to like a movie. You're eliminating like a dimension, because you're the one that's can immerse in that, and then you take it from the video game, which is a lot more immersed into, to an actual like movie. With a book to a movie, what I'm seeing is that you have everything that's kind of like up in the air. So like on one hand, yes, congratulations,
you defeat Big Bad.
Yeah, but it's the envisionment of your mind, because you always hear this argument like, oh, the book was better than the movie. Well,
all the time.
That's
a lot.
Here's the thing,
because you can envision it better.
Because like we all have our different mindsets, and it's all with the creative liberty of like your own mind. So very rarely you'll see somebody say the movie is better than the book. I've only heard one person say, like, for instance, like what was it, Lord of the Rings, like that the movie was better than like the actual book. And I think that's because they actually took, for instance, The Hobbit. They took a lot of liberties with like the 5 armies, the White Orcs.
Well,
I mean, didn't they make 3 movies based off of one book?
Yeah.
So
I feel like that wasn't more of taking a creative liberty. Well, I guess it could have been, but I think that also was them squeezing out more.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing with books too. You're not. Video games, like, you actually like are immersed into this world. Books, you're immersed, but you're leaving it to your imagination because you don't see anything, unless it's a picture book. But yeah, so basically, you do have. I mean, I think you get more ability to create something through a book, because you can take stuff out, and you can adapt a screenplay to change it up and make it like different. But then, of course, you're either going to get good feedback from it, people are going to like it for its own thing, or people are going to hate it because it's completely switches around stuff that is not how it happens in the book, or other stuff like that. But Jurassic Park, I think, is a good example of how books can...
As you're wearing
I'm wearing the
Jurassic Park shirt.
Yeah, I've heard...
Just visually imagine that, people, like it's in the book.
A lot of people do, a lot of people...
We're actually talking to a book right now.
There you go. We need to make a movie about this.
Some will say the Jurassic Park movie's better than the book. Some people will say that, but I know that in the book, John Hammond was like a more greedy corporate like dude who was like some of you didn't like, somebody like somebody to be hated, and then he, I don't know, spoiler alert, he dies. But
I was reading that.
But in the movie, he's
Dumbledore
actually
kills Snape.
like he's kind of a wacky dude, but he's very approachable and fun. And then you find out like he really just wanted to like make something really cool for people to see. And it's like the character changed from like the way he was in the book to the movie. Like I mean I haven't read the book, but from what it sounds, I really do like John Hammond as a character in the movie. Yeah. Very, very, really cool character, and of course, obviously, it's played by a legendary actor who really does it well. But yeah, I think that's a great example of how something good can come out of changing something from the book, like altering it to make it, I think, better. That's just one of the many examples I can put out there.
Well, we're out of time. So thank you for coming out. This has been Brookside Chats, and my two lovely co-hosts, Brooklyn and Matthew Vesh. Thank you for coming out. It means the world to us. If you want to watch or listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, etc., please do. It makes us feel warm and happy.
Thank you.
Bye.